You will be very glad that you did. Uh, Tonight, I have the pleasure to introduce our two speakers, Joni Wilson and Carmela Southers. Joni is known to most of you. Last year around this time, she presented Dreaming of a Green Holiday in person. She returns this year with even more green tips. Joni is currently happily retired after 30 years at the University of Mary Washington. As the landscape and grounds director, some of her most prized accomplishments are creation of the University of Mary Washington Sustainability Office, building a comprehensive recycling program, and co-founding of the University of Mary Washington's President's Council on Sustainability. Before retirement, Carmela served as a consultant and trainer, helping team leaders build long-distance relationships and teamwork through technology. A part of her has always been a Mother Earther, and she loves finally being able to spend time actively pursuing green living. I can't think of two more perfect people to present this topic to us this evening. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Joni and Carmela. Take it away, ladies.
Great.
Hi. So, the most wasteful time of year, 30 million trees being used for gift wrapping. These are still relevant, and most of us are aware of these facts. But this year, everything is different. So we're not going to be talking and covering making our own wrapping paper or debating fresh versus artificial trees. Today is all about reimagining in the time of COVID. Perhaps we've become too vested in the trappings of the holiday. We need a refocus.
So there's always holiday stress, but obviously this year it's so much worse. We're missing loved ones, we're staying isolated, we're losing a lot of those family rituals. But looked at another way, I've been really forced to focus on what's really important. Obviously, the planet's important. I've started making my own cleaning products, thanks Selma, using some of your recipes. Focusing a lot on family health, more than I would have thought. And perhaps some of the traditions, aren't as critical. We can do the gingerbread house again together next year. The whole part of the focus for us is thinking about what do we need to focus on? What are we doing differently? So I'd love for you to share in the chat box, kind of as we go through the whole session, but especially what are you this year focusing on? What do you find yourself focusing on? Maybe you've had to give up something and you're focusing on something else. So share that in the chat box. I mean, I love decorating lots of cookies and the kids come over and then we all decorate. And, well, we're not doing that anymore. But I'm spending a lot more time on Zoom with my family. So I guess that's a good thing. So please feel free to type in the chat box, send it to everyone. What are you focusing on this holiday season? And as we go through our session, our goal is to kind of get you thinking. So we just finished Thanksgiving. So you probably had to do something different with your traditions then. So please feel free to share throughout the presentation, questions, comments, anything that you're doing. Composting, good. Charities, yeah, that they're really struggling. Yeah, what do they need instead of presents? I like that, Chris. That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. That's great. So this is what we're going to be focusing on together. First of all, green gifts, things you can wrap, or green gifts experiences that you might want to consider giving. As a caveat, we are going to mention a lot of specific ideas. Some of them we've researched, some of them we use ourselves, but we're not getting kickbacks from anybody that we suggest. We're not advocating. We're just going to give a complete brainstorm of all different kinds of things and places and things for you to think about. You still have, you know, an obligation to kind of think about what's important. Yes, supporting local businesses, Georgia Senate election. Yeah, isn't it funny? There's a lot of things we're focusing on. And then the third thing is that we're going to reimagine celebrating together, apart together. So that's really what we're going to be focusing on kind of as we go together. So we're going to put up lots of links. We're going to suggest lots of links and lots of ideas. Rich has, yay, graciously agreed to copy and paste the links into the chat box as we go forward. In case you don't know, if you're on a PC or a Mac, if you're on a computer, you can actually drag across the chat box and then paste it into another document rather than trying to retype a web address. So feel free to do that. Copy anything that you need to. So I've done a lot of virtual training, so that's just kind of a hint with you. So of course the PowerPoint will be available to get later, and we're going to be recording this. So Joni is going to start us off with green gifts.
Hi. So gift certificates, they're awfully easy. It's hard to give the wrong thing, whether you're selecting one of our local restaurants like Foodie or gifts from Fritchman's Corner Chocolates. Local breweries, co-op owners, Adventure Brewing and Spencer Devon Brewery. I know that's a good gift in my family. And so is coffee. Katora, Agora, 2530 Espresso and Exquisite are all co-op owners. Good to give them some support. And we also have a downtown gift certificate program. With one gift certificate, you can shop at over 60 shops. That includes things like the Pawn Shop, Riverview Books, Latitudes Fair Trade, Liberty Town Arts Workshop. And gift baskets, that's always something I love. And shops such as Latitudes, also a co-op owner, will make gift packages. So if there's just a shop that you like their in-house product, give them a call. I'm sure they're going to work with you. Another co-op member or owner is Better For You Juices. They've created a customized package of 6 12-ounce combination juice blends that you can choose, and they even deliver locally. How about a food co-op membership? Yoo-hoo! That would be a great family gift. And we're lucky to have community-supported agriculture in our area. There's actually a couple of CSAs you can join. I think of that as a gift that definitely just keeps on giving. Another option is Blenheim Organic Gardens. Operates like a CSA, except for you pay as you go. They send you a newsletter and let you know what items are available to pick. Farmers market vendors, we all have our favorites. Even with the market closed, I'm sure with the vendors, if you give them a call, especially those that are not dealing with seasonal produce, talk to them. I'm sure we can work something out. Thinking of things like sweet basil macarons or walnut hollow naturals. They make candles and soaps. And we're going to provide a link that gives you the list of all the vendors at the farmers market. So reach out to them. I think it's a good thing. Now, Carmela is going to talk about some online shopping.
So obviously buy locally if you can, or somewhat locally. For years, I've ordered what I think is the best taste of Virginia, which are Hub's peanuts. They're available in the Made in Virginia store. It's a family-owned company. And I buy them every year. They ship to family and friends all over the country. And then I get a huge box delivered to me that I deliver around. They keep my order with a list of addresses, and I just update it every year. It's very easy, and it is Virginia, and it's kind of not the usual thing. Obviously, Sprelly is a yummy local item. I love the things people have put in the have have put in the chat box. The candlelight tour, that's lovely. Stop giving gifts 25 years ago. Boy, Andrew, that's really elevated. I'm impressed. That's great. Carol, samples of green alternative products to try. I like that. And homemade goodies, putting strings of cranberries, candlelight tour. Awesome. Okay, these are all absolutely great ideas. So Joni likes coffee. So talk to us a little bit more about recommendations around coffee.
Yeah, my family's all big coffee lovers, but there are concerns around sun-grown coffee. So you want to think about taking that extra step and investigating shade-grown coffee. According to the Smithsonian's National Zoo and Conservation Biology Institute, 3/4 of the world's coffee farms grow their plants in the sun. This destroys forests that the birds and the other wildlife need for food and shelter. And also sun-grown coffee does tend to need fertilizers and pesticides, while shade-grown coffee preserves the forest canopy and is even very helpful for the migratory birds. So in our chat box, we're going to put a link for the Smithsonian's website. That site can allow you to search things such as retailers, buying online, or even finding a bird-friendly farm. We also want you to take a look at gift shops. Gift shops at things like museums, arboretums, other venues that are really being hard hit by the pandemic, since people aren't out and about as much as they've been.
So I really like the Brook Green Gardens. So they have a really nice, website. So think about your favorite museum shop. There's so many things out there, and let's see, National Zoo, right? So thanks, Rich. He's putting a lot of the links in the chat box for you. And I love the birdhouses. Diane, that's a great comment. I like that. Yeah, cool. But of course, we have to consider shipping, right? When we're thinking about buying actual gifts, and that can be troublesome.
Yeah, if you're buying online, you're probably shipping. And you may already be doing these first two things where you're reusing, selling, or giving away your boxes, even packing with dry popcorn and shredded paper. Trying to avoid all that plastic bubble wrap and those peanuts that seem to proliferate. And you're probably aware of FreeCycle to give away your boxes, but did you know that U-Haul has a program where you can give boxes to someone who's in need that's moving? I had no idea. Doing your holiday shopping online is relatively stress-free. Click, click, and you're done. But purchasing online is not environmentally neutral. E-commerce generates a significant amount of material waste and carbon dioxide emissions. How can we reduce that impact? A couple of simple things. Plan ahead and consolidate your orders so that everything you need is coming in fewer shipments. Buy less stuff, and avoid expedited shipping, even when it's free. We understand that gift buying is a strong tradition, but it's important to consider the difference in your shipping methods. This year, the pandemic has really put a strain on that system. It's greatly increased online shopping and at-home delivery. 1 or 2 day shipping is very convenient, but it usually means more trucks, vans, and air freight, all of which increase emissions. So basically, the more time you give the company to fill your order, the more efficient they can be in that delivery. Basically, just cramming that vehicle full before they send it out on a well-planned route. Even greener than online shipping is the idea of giving experiences, not just a physical thing. When Carmela and I first were talking about experiences, we immediately came up with massages and facials and maybe getting our nails done. Skin Touch Therapy Spa and Spavia are both co-op owners. Oh, then I wanted to think a little bit outside the box, and that's a real pun. River Rock Outfitter here in town, and they have the best Christmas window. If you haven't seen it, please go look. I won't give it away. They have lessons available for stand-up paddleboard. You can even learn to do that with your pup. Kayaking, backpacking, and rock climbing. I know when my daughter was young, she did rock climbing, and it was a great confidence booster. The pawn shop downtown has virtual art classes for children. And one of my very favorite is Helmet and Goggle at Shannon Airport. They offer rides in an open cockpit biplane. My brother did this recently. I don't know who was more excited, those of us on the ground or him in the plane.
Helmet.
How about a season pass to the Flying Circus in Bealton? They have wing walkers and aerial acrobatics. It's a crazy time. And again, the museum membership, let's not forget these guys, but what about a city tour? It's easy to take your own town and your own sites for granted. We're walking by them every day, but we're at a time when information is really changing. Different perspectives are being offered up. I think it's time for a revisit. Simplify Fungi is one of our farmers market vendors, and they offer mushroom foraging adventures. I'm really down for that one. I think it sounds great fun.
Mushroom foraging.
And what about theater tickets? Many theaters are doing digital and online performances. Not only you don't have to travel to see it, but the digital productions are making the theater much more accessible for folks with disabilities. And it may actually make greater flexibility in pricing for everyone. The American Shakespeare Center's Blackfriar Theater in Stanton is not only providing live streaming and on-demand access to their seasonal A Christmas Carol, but they're offering showings at a local drive-in. So maybe now is a great time to check out your favorite theaters. So we are reimagining, refocusing, and reevaluating.
Okay.
So reevaluate. We've been here to cut back on the gift giving. How about drawing names? We did that in our family for years, especially during that time when everybody was expanding really quickly with kids and things. The experience, the memory, so much better than a lot of our physical gifts.
Okay.
My family's been geocaching for years. You can give a geocache membership so you have access to all the online bells and whistles. It's a real world treasure hunting game. We've done it from Central Park in New York to California to the mountains of West Virginia. It's just a little bit of everything. You use a smartphone or another GPS device to search out a specific set of coordinates. There can be games and puzzles involved. Then you find a hidden container, you fill out a log. There's often little trinkets, little gadgets in there to play with or take away. If you're uncomfortable with the idea of actually touching things right now, there are virtual and earth caches. With the earth cache, you find that you follow the coordinates and they're featuring a unique logical part of the earth. And you learn about it as you go along. And so then you answer questions to log in or either snap a picture. So another way to not actually have to physically touch a log. Classes, again, looking at local museums and art galleries. When I was searching this, I found that Denver has a butterfly pavilion and a rainforest. And in that, you can give yoga classes or even tripod photography. And I loved the pavilion's motto, which was many legs, one purpose. Makes me laugh every time. Carmela, were you going to say a little bit about your favorite classes?
Sure. Yeah. So I've been signing up with something called Patreon, which is a way to really support musicians. And so I've been taking these kind of group lessons with Cynthia Lynn, and you may not know who she is, but in the ukulele world, she is a rock star. Absolutely. So you could go on and find out, people that you're particularly interested in. artistworks.com is a place to look and see for, people that you might want to get lessons from. And then I loved this one. It's called maestromatch.com. And it was started by the bass player for Lady Gaga. So you can get one-on-one lessons or group lessons from these musicians. I mean, before COVID, were you going to be able to get a one-on-one lesson from somebody who played for Lady Gaga or for, a symphony musician? Probably not. So there's some advantages to kind of what's going on right now. People are having to reimagine their careers. We have a subscription to the great courses online, and they've got everything like knitting, meditation, history of art, traveling. So there's lots and lots of gifts that you could give that would be experiences that would really focus on maybe not everybody wants ukulele lessons, but anyway, for those who don't, there's probably something else that they would be interested in.
It is mind-boggling, the things that are offered online in terms of classes. And again, we're going to mention memberships to our museums, gardens, and arboretums. Keep these and our arts afloat during these hard times. Now, many of these gifts that we're talking about that you can buy local are available across the country. And most of our smaller towns and even some of the larger cities have that downtown promotion, and especially the gift certificate that we talked about that was available through all the shops. Now you'll find those not usually by going to the town at a .gov site. What's a better search is to put the name of the location and then downtown in, or even the word love. There's a lot of programs out there with those words. I did a real quick search for the gift certificate programs, found them in places that varied as far as Colorado Springs, Frederick, Maryland, and even Boise, Idaho. Another tip would be just Google fair trade or local or sustainable in with the name of the city that you're looking for. Just find a lot of interesting things that you wouldn't necessarily think of, and easy to, I guess, personalize it to the person you're giving to and where they're living. And we're talking about buying experiences, but we also want to think about the companies that we're supporting when we're making these purchases. B Corporation's an example of how you can kind of vet some of the companies. The companies here volunteer to be graded to ensure that they meet the highest standards of social and environmental performance, public accountability, and transparency. Patagonia, Ben & Jerry's, Ella's Kitchen, Martin & Company, which is Martin Guitars, and Allbirds are
And
among—
ukuleles. They make ukuleles
Oh,
too.
sorry, yes, definitely. The overlooked cousin, I guess. There's over 3,200 corporations that are included in B Corporation. Oh yeah, Chris, thanks for saying that about the National Cooperative is B Corporation. It's all about how the business is run. It's even how their team is treated, how they use energy, how they treat the environment. So it's a good place to go and search. Now, if you're looking for towels, rugs, or those very popular weighted blankets, looking for the Eco-Tex label is a good start. I found that label on every set of towels I looked at Target. It's on towels at Costco and certainly Etsy and Amazon. Eco-Tex is independent research and test institutes that form standards for not only product labels, which is what we would be looking for, but also production facility certification and even chemical certification. So they're actually looking at all these things and making sure that those processes are safe. You're not going to be able to check every green box when you're shopping. So you need to think about what works for you, what's working for the person that you're gifting, or even the area in which they live. You have to kind of do your homework to see what works for you. Two quick examples of just kind of differences in companies. Soulmate Socks, they have all the certifications I just talked about. When they learned that socks were the most requested item for the homeless. They began 20 years ago giving away socks, and they're also very transparent on their website. Etsy is a purchasing platform that was started mostly to give I guess, a worldwide platform to especially women artisans so that they could increase the income of their family. They were the first major online shopping platform to become carbon neutral. They offset 100% of their emissions from product shipments, but they do not police their vendors. So you have to do your homework. You want to be careful. You may think you're getting a custom made or individually crafted item. You might want to check around on a couple of sites. Not that the gift wouldn't be lovely, but if you think you're getting an individually crafted item and you're not, you want to know that. They also do a thing called, you want to be careful of, called drop shipping. And that you may think you're dealing with a mom and pop store, but what you're doing is dealing with somebody who's just a third party. You're going to order, you think, from them, and they're just passing the order on to a much larger vendor. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with those things. You just need to know what's going on. Charities, a great gift. Definitely giving a charitable contribution in someone's name is a great thing. Many local charities, as well as all the big ones, and it can be really overwhelming. There are multiple sites that can help you make the right choice for you. Charity Navigator, GiveWell, and Charity Watch are a couple, help you narrow down what your gift is going through and kind of getting the best impact for your dollar, which I know we're all interested in.
Is that it?
Yep.
All right. All right. A couple of questions. National Trust, actually from Paula, the National Trust for Historic Preservation. Awesome suggestion. Awesome suggestion. And then the Ernie, the reference to socks was this. Whoops, sorry. Previous slide. Was Soulmate gives, say that again, gives socks to the homeless or whatever?
Yeah,
Yeah,
for 20 years, they've been giving, donating socks when they first heard that, you know, it's the most requested item by the homeless. So they've been donating socks for 20 years. And they have one of the most transparent websites. They're a really nice site.
Cool. And Andrew found the exact link for helmetandgoggles.com. I'm not sure I've got the guts for an open biplane ride.
And I want to say that I can't remember the man's name who does that. I wish I could. Mr. Fox, that's what it was. Absolutely remarkable gentleman. That plane looks brand new, and it's an original World War I plane. And I mean, it looks like it's a brand new plane.
I am so risk adverse, but anyway, that's awesome. That's great. That's just great. All right. Cool. So let's talk a little bit about platforms that support giving back. Now, these aren't companies, but there are other ways to help give back.
Right. Through the use of these, you're giving back. So Amazon Smile, with Amazon Smile, when you shop through that site, you pick a charity, and then certain purchases give a percentage of that purchase to the charity that you choose. They have large organizations, and it goes all the way down to local. Our local Downtown Greens is a recipient of Amazon Smile. And I laughed because also our local Ruffled Grouse Society, you can donate to them. Then there's Benefit. This is an app that you use in store or online. You scan a barcode and you kind of $1 back earning, and then a monthly check is sent to the charity of your choice. Kind of sounds like a dream right now, but you can actually use the Benefit app in places like Airbnb, movie theaters, airlines, restaurants, aquariums, and even our Bass Pro Shops. Giving Assistant is a cash back service again, and they target charities such as the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund and Equal Justice Initiative. So different platforms can have kind of different veins of charities as well. Altruisto, is vetted, all its charities are vetted by GiveWell, which we mentioned earlier. And then one that's a little different is Search Scene. It's not a shopping platform, but it's a search engine, such like Google or Bing or something. But they pledge 95% of their profits to a charity. And their charities are primarily around poverty and the environment. So lots of suggestions. And another way that you can give is by giving a gift of inspiration. Carmela? Take her
So
away.
Diane mentioned Heifer International, which we have a photo of here. That's one I really like. And Susan Lovegroves has Bombas socks.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know anything about Bombas?
Not a whole lot. I know they gave, Diane can back me up here. They gave a ton of socks to us locally that went
really?
to Micah Ministries.
Oh, awesome. Cool. All right. So another thing that you can give, as Joni said, is inspiration. So here are some books kind of that we like. Video, subscription, documentaries, audiobooks. There's all kinds of things you can do. I haven't seen this David Attenborough, A Life on Our Planet. It's gotten absolutely great reviews, but I have to finish watching The Crown first, and then I will do this David Attenborough. I have one more Crown episode to go, and then I'll watch that. Kiss the Ground is about regenerative agriculture. So are there other things that you really like? Type them in the, type them in the chat box if there are books that you find, books or whatever that's very inspirational. So, oh, great. Thanks, Selma, answering some of the questions in the chat box. I appreciate that. Oh, very good, Diane. Set of socks from Bomba. They donate a set for shelter or other charities. Excellent, excellent. So there are, so giving inspiration to others, give us something else to think about is another thing that you can think about. When we're thinking about gifts, also though, think about giving yourself. I have a brilliant friend who does virtual babysitting. While the parents are cooking or doing their laundry, she uses an iPad to tell stories and entertain her grandchild. She even has little dolls and puppets, and it's wonderful. It's virtual babysitting. So you might want to think about that. You could record telling a story or reading a book, or have a FaceTime or a Skype or a whatever Zoom call and have your grandchild read to you. Parents are so stressed nowadays with all the virtual learning. You could give some coupons for some virtual homework help. One year I did a birthday calendar, which was kind of fun. Everyone's birthday was on the right date in the calendar. We have a somewhat big family, so a lot of birthdays. And the month's photo was of everyone who had a birthday that month. So I just laid it out on my computer and then printed it at Staples, but Shutterfly.com is also has lots of cool things like books and mugs, and I've seen like books of wedding photographs and stuff like that. So giving the gift of you, what can you do? Favorite recipes to share? I know some people's recipes they don't share, but I don't have any recipes that are that good that I mind sharing them. Ship your best cookies. Somebody earlier mentioned, can I find this in the chat box, that they made cookies and, Ginter Gardens. Oh, that's a good idea. That they made cookies and then walked around and gave them out to people. Who was that? Paula, you said that. So that's a great idea. You can also share recipes and have people cook them and then have a presentation, have a web conference and then share how it worked. Show online photos of the food, or you can send dry ingredients like for mulled cider or stuffing mix. You can send baked cookies with the ingredients for frosting. Maybe I should do that since we're not doing our kind of cookie decorating thing that we do. So part of what we said when we're thinking about this gift of you is we're thinking about what's important about family, which is togetherness. So I want us to reimagine celebrating. It's got to be a little bit different. So you may not have noticed, but I actually wore my favorite Christmas sweater. And this is my favorite Christmas mug, and there's a story behind it. Everybody has a Christmas mug that there's a story behind. So think about, oh, here's some books. Oh, here's some graphics. Da, da, da. Okay, so reimagine celebrating. So probably most of us have had to learn some new video chatting software. Zoom was new for me. I knew WebEx and Adobe and a couple of others, but most of us have had to learn Zoom. The Washington Post today actually had a really interesting article on which was best. So FaceTime is the most secure. Skype has the clearest visuals. There's even one on Facebook, which I didn't know there's some sort of a group, something on Facebook. And then Microsoft Teams has one. And so there are lots and lots of ways to do this. But honestly, I think the best platform is the one that everybody can use together, the one that fits everybody's computers, whatever. The whole thing that's important is trying to celebrate. So although I've done a lot of work with teams, my first kind of family virtual meal was in April. My friend in Pittsburgh asked me to do her family's virtual Seder. So I was very honored. I'd never been to a Seder before, and I had to do lots of research and prep. So here's a picture of my Seder plate. Took me a while to learn what all the different things were. And Naomi said it was okay if I used tofu instead of a shank bone. She's very flexible, so that's good. I really enjoyed it. I felt so much closer to her and her family afterwards. And I learned about some things to do and some things not to do when you're celebrating meals together. So let's talk a little more kind of about that. So think about celebrating together. Of course, you can open gifts together. That's a really easy thing to do, and that's lovely. You can possibly cook together. You can just chat about how you made a recipe or make it together while you're online. Again, cookie decorating. Some people share meals. You know, they'll have like a iPad or something set up in one room and set up in another one. There are some challenges with this. Microphones actually pick up every little sound of every fork hitting the plate. And of course, perhaps everyone has a relative who doesn't close their mouth when they chew. So just be thoughtful about what the experience is actually going to be like. But in some family, it works great. Just think about what the experience is going to be like, whatever works for you. So you could create and share a family movie. You could have a trivia contest. Which family member has been to Hawaii? Who has a tattoo and where is it? Oh, well, that might be TMI, too much information. But anyway, you get the idea. Knowing your family, what kinds of things would be fun that they would like to share. And you can stimulate conversations. So what puzzled you as a child? What's your favorite holiday tradition? If my older brothers don't tease me about being afraid of Jell-O when I was a child, it's just not a holiday. They just have to tease me about that. That's just part of what holiday is. So it's all about whatever your celebration is. So think about kind of conversation starters. And you can just do a web search on conversation starters. If you get super technical on some platforms, you can even create breakout groups. So grandma and grandpa can get one-on-one time with each grandchild, or younger cousins could go in one room while older siblings chat in a different room. So think about, what do you want? How could you actually celebrate together? Some families like to play games together. Obviously, you can do charades and trivia. That's pretty easy. You don't really need a whole lot different to be able to do that. But here are a couple. Words with Friends is a good one. Words with Friends is fun. Draw something is also, it's kind of like Pictionary. You have to kind of guess what the other people are doing, and that one's kind of fun. I think you have to pay for Steam, Steam powered, but they have some familiar board games as well, like the Game of Life and Monopoly, as well as kind of like regular video games. So, Joni, tell us about this story worth. It sounded so interesting to me.
Yeah, it's not a game, but it also goes, I guess, along with the idea of conversation stimulating conversation. It's actually an online subscription. My daughter gave it to me, and they email you questions at an interval that you pick weekly or monthly, and they're questions that you've never thought to ask, kind of a thing. And it's a way of getting to know people. So you get your question, you reply online, you can even add pictures. And then at the end of the year, the stories are all gathered together and bound into a book. What's applicable here too is the idea that they have some of their interesting questions online. If you go to their website, you can pull up some of these questions. One that I thought was really interesting, especially when you think of multi-generational family setting, is how did you rebel as a child? I think a lot of us would probably look at our grandparents or our aunt and uncle and not really think of like them being rebellious as a child. So maybe they have some great stories to tell about that. Or have you ever been a hero? Has anyone ever been a hero to you? So I think it's a source for, again, those conversation starters.
Yeah, I think that's fun. It just requires us to think a little bitty a little different. And thanks, Paula, for your comment. Yeah, inspire people to think a little bit, a little bit differently. We are just separated from people. So yeah. Family else, yeah, in the Netherlands and California. Yep. So we have to do this kind of stuff if we really want to stay connected, and it's more fun than you think. So if we're thinking about playing together and celebrating together, there are some things that that we really need to think about, to keep in mind. So meaningful holidays require a lot of planning, right? So think about the planning for a big family meal. Do we have enough chairs? Oh, we broke the gravy boat last year. Can Aunt Sue bring her gravy boat? Okay, if people are coming from out of town, where are they staying? There's just as much planning required if you're going to do celebrating through technology. It's just different. But don't expect to just be able to start up the computer and have a great time together. Doesn't quite work that way. So first of all, you need to find the most skilled tech person in every site. And that may be your 10-year-old granddaughter. I mean, we should not assume anything. So find the most skilled tech person and put them in charge of managing the technology at that site. Test everything in advance. Test to make sure you have the bandwidth. Test to make sure that you have the connectivity. Do things ahead of time. Just practice. Just do them a little bit ahead of time with the most skilled person. Walk through the features. Like, you all know how to use a chat box. Obviously, you guys are doing great. But people might have to be told how to use the chat box. Put someone at each site in charge of the connection. It's a celebration, and as I did, I would encourage you to dress up a bit, even if it's just a holiday sweater, or have a fancy sock contest, or for example, if you're going to be opening gifts together virtually, at least wear your nicest set of pajamas. I mean, it was very awkward during one of my family virtual events when an individual, I won't name them, got out to adjust a curtain and wasn't wearing, well, anyway, perhaps I should think about some nice pajamas as a gift for that individual. But anyway, so do the planning, and then this second to the last one, prepare to be flexible and laugh. You know, when we celebrate face to face, if someone's dish, the turkey's a little dry, right? If somebody's dish didn't come out as well as you'd hoped in a meal, we eat it anyway and appreciate the effort. So virtual celebrations, like anything new, they're going to be awkward, but they won't be the same, but you're creating a memory together. If nothing else, think about, you'll look back at the holidays of 2020 and maybe say, we'll never do that again. Or that was actually better than we thought. You can find humor kind of in the celebration that you have. So this is essentially what we kind of, so we've laid out a couple of things. We've laid out about gifting experiences, about celebrating. And we'd love to hear if you have any questions, or you guys have been adding a bunch of stuff. Oh, else, that's interesting. Chance to be intimate in a totally different way, or even more. Yeah, it really is. It's a way to build those connections with people. And it actually works. It works really, really well. So anything, Joni, anything you want to add? Type anything in the chat box. If there's actually, what we'd like to, since we have a couple of minutes left, if there's anything in particular that you have picked up from something someone else typed in the chat box or something we went over, feel free to type that in. You know, what are you thinking about now? Are you reimagining anything a little bit different? Maybe you're just reimagining your relatives with their mouths open as they're chewing. Oh, I hope not.
I'm thinking about all the horror stories you were mentioning.
Oh, Adam, Jello is scary. Thank you. I used to think it was alive. Every family has those weird, you know, things. Well, I think they all do. Hopefully they do. Mine's not the only crazy family. But yep. So thank you for your sympathy. So other thoughts or ideas? We just went through Thanksgiving. Oh, yeah, Diane, do you know the vendor that sells those birdhouses? That would be cool. Yeah.
That was a farmer's market vendor, I think she said.
Yes. Is she still on? Let's see. And then well, while we're giving her a chance to respond, if she's still on, I had a question about the U-Haul. If you want to donate boxes to people who are moving, do you just call U-Haul and make arrangements that way, or how does that work?
Well, I haven't actually done it, but you go on their website and you know, and it'll walk you through the process of it.
I see.
So
Okay.
if you do end up buying a bunch of stuff from Amazon and have a bunch of boxes, you know, it's really good kind of to try to find some way to get rid of them. So
yeah,
that's a good question. Trying to think. Anything else? Any other thoughts from anyone else? All right, great. So, Joni, anything else that you want to add?
I think no. I have emptied my brain. I think the only thing was, I think I mentioned to you earlier a couple of books on nature that are my favorites. And just to put them out there, I don't know how to use the chat box. I'm really embarrassed to say this, but I don't know how to use the chat box. So I can't add anything to the chat. I forgot to figure that out. But books by Doug Tallamy. He's a local from University of Delaware. And he talks about our responsibility with wildlife in urban and suburban settings. So that's one of the books that I recommend as gifts or reading is by Doug Tallamy.
Is that T-A-L-A-M-E?
Tallamy.
Well, I'm glad I asked.
His first book was Bringing Nature Home. And he's also delightfully funny as well. And his newest book is Nature's Best Hope. And he really puts a lot of that responsibility right in our hands. And I think gift giving goes along with that, whether it's charities or being careful about what we're picking. And it's Tallamy with a Y.
Oh, okay. T-A-L-L-A-M-Y. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a perfect example of how all this technology has been fast forwarded.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well.
Ladies, this is phenomenal. This is just a whole new way of thinking, and it's just so timely. And all of your ideas are excellent. Thank you so much. We still have a few more minutes, so if we want to just chat a little bit more about some of the questions that are coming up. I think that maybe we can find those birdhouses on the vendor list for the farmers market, I'm hoping. But this is just great. This is awesome.
Keeping an eye on the newspaper this time of year, a lot of things are opening up. We went this past weekend out to the local alpaca farm, Wildwood Alpacas in Caroline County, and they have a nice little shop there, but they're only open when they post it in the newspaper. They had 6 baby alpacas, and they have wool from their own fiber, as well as a co-op that they belong to where everybody adds fiber. It was lots of good things like that coming up to keep an eye out for as well in the newspaper. It was a lovely day.
That sounds like fun. Lots of fun.
I've heard they have an alpaca named Carmela.
They do. They do. And those animals, I tell you, it's like if somebody made up the, what would you put together to make the cutest thing ever? And there's your little alpaca right there in front of you.
Well, I love that idea as well. And what I really love is that they're safe to do at this time that we're in. And a lot of them are outdoors. And here comes Paula again with another wonderful suggestion. Don't forget the ultimate green gift of planting trees.
Yes.
That's wonderful. We are so fortunate to have you two present for us tonight. It's been great. Thank you so much for doing this. It's just such a great thing, and helping us get through the holidays in a much different way is just, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. You had me at reimagining.
Great.
Thank you all.
All right. Thanks. Take care. Stay safe. Happy
Stay
holidays.
green.
Thank you so much, guys. Great job.
Thanks, Chris.
Good job.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.